So let's get right to it. The question on literally every developer's mind. Is AI coming for my job? I mean, you see the demos, right? Agents building entire apps in a few hours, refactoring gigantic code bases all by themselves. The hype is, well, it's deafening. But then you also hear the horror stories from the trenches. So what's the real deal? Is this the end of the line for software engineers, or is something way more interesting happening? Let's dig in.
All right, here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with the next abstraction layer to get some context. Then we'll dive into the promise of agents, all the cool stuff. But then we'll look at a trail of wreckage where things go wrong. After that, we'll talk about the rise of orchestrators, which is where you come in, and we'll wrap up with your new moat, talking about the skills that are going to keep you way ahead of the game.
Okay, first things first. We need to get some perspective here. This whole idea of a new tool that makes coding easier, that's not new at all. In fact, it's basically the entire history of our profession. AI isn't here to replace developers. It's just the next super powerful abstraction layer in our toolkit.
So just look at this timeline. It tells a pretty clear story, right? Back in the day, we were literally flipping switches, writing machine code. Then assembly came along and gave us something a little more human readable. Then C got us even further away from the bare metal. And then boom, high-level languages like Python let us write super complex stuff in just a few lines. See the pattern? Every single step has moved us away from the machine and closer to the actual problem we're trying to solve. And AI agents? They're just the next logical step on that exact same path.
And the biggest impact of this new layer? It's speed. I mean, just unbelievable speed. The old way of doing things, design, code, test, deploy, that could take weeks, right? Well, that's getting squashed down into maybe a single afternoon. It's creating this insane feedback loop where development is just constantly iterating, constantly improving.
So let's talk about that promise. The things these new AI coding agents can do are, honestly, they're kind of mind-blowing. They're not just writing simple scripts. They're automating all that boring boilerplate and scaffolding, and they're starting to tackle some seriously complex real-world problems.
I mean, check this out. Rakuten gave an AI agent a really tough job. They said, hey, go implement this super complex feature in this huge open source library. We're talking over 12 million lines of code here. The agent did it all by itself in just 7 hours, and it was 99.9% accurate. Think about that. A human engineer could easily spend weeks, maybe even months on a task like that.
And this isn't just some lab experiment. Big companies are using this stuff in production and seeing huge wins. You've got Nubank, who took a monolith migration that they thought would take years and got it done in a matter of weeks. Ramp is saving 20% of their engineering time just by having an AI clean up old feature flags. That's huge. And Built, they've already merged over 800 PRs from an AI agent. The productivity boost is real. It's undeniable.
Okay, so everything sounds amazing, right? But this is where the story takes a pretty sharp turn. Because for every incredible marketing demo, for every amazing success story, the day-to-day reality of working with these agents, well, it can be a whole lot messier.
So I want you to remember one number, 15%. That's it. It turns out that while these agents are great at really specific, contained tasks, when you throw general, messy, real-world problems at them, the performance just plummets. An independent test of Devin, the super hyped AI engineer, found it only succeeded about 15% of the time. It would just get stuck, go down rabbit holes, and chase impossible fixes. So much for the flawless demo, huh? And this comment from a developer on Reddit it nails the feeling perfectly. They wrote, agents are great at generating a lot of code very, very fast. However, they often leave a trail of wreckage behind. And that's exactly it. That's the experience so many people are having. You get this fire hose of code, but if the problem has any real complexity, you're left with a mess of half-finished code, and the AI almost always takes the easy path, not the right one.
And it gets worse. It's not just that the code doesn't work sometimes. A lot of the time, the code it does write is dangerously insecure. And it makes sense when you think about it, right? These models are trained on tons of public code, and let's be honest, a lot of that code is not great. So the AI just learns and repeats the same bad habits. Look at these numbers, an 86% failure rate at stopping something as basic as cross-site scripting. Almost half of all AI code has some kind of vulnerability. This isn't a small problem, it's systemic. Human oversight isn't just a nice-to-have, it's absolutely essential.
And that whole gap between the hype and the reality, it was on full display with Devin's big debut demo. Remember the one where it supposedly did a job from Upwork?
Well, a deep dive analysis suggested the demo was, let's say, creatively edited. It looked like the agent was actually creating its own bugs and then fixing them just to make itself look more competent.
And this right here, this is the hidden price you pay for all that speed. Just think it through. If you don't have a skilled human setting the architectural direction and you're not doing rigorous code reviews, that fire hose of AI code, it just turns little bits of tech debt into this giant steaming mountain of unmaintainable spaghetti code. And guess who has to clean up that mess? Yep, a human.
So, we've established that AI is this incredibly powerful but also deeply flawed tool. So, what does that mean for us, the developers? Well, it means our job is changing. It's evolving. We're shifting from being the person who lays every single brick to being the architect, the conductor, what people are now starting to call the AI orchestrator.
So, what is an AI orchestrator? It's a software engineer who isn't typing out every single line of code anymore. Instead, you're working at a higher level of abstraction. You're the one who designs the whole system, provides the strategic vision, and then you delegate the grunt work, the implementation details, to your team of AI agents. And, most importantly, you're the one who validates everything they spit out. You are, basically, the brains of the entire operation.
So, what's your new workflow going to look like? First, you define the high-level architecture. That's the big picture stuff the AI just can't see. Then you chop that big problem into smaller, bite-sized tasks that you can hand off to your agents. Next comes the most critical part. You review and validate everything they produce. Is it correct? Is it secure? Is it any good? And doing all that frees you up to focus on the really high-value stuff, like squeezing out every drop of performance and making sure all the complex pieces of the system actually work together.
Someone on Reddit just summed this whole thing up perfectly. When code is cheap, decisions get expensive. Just let that sink in for a second. When the actual act of typing code becomes basically free, because an AI can do it in an instant, the value shifts completely. Suddenly, the most expensive and the most important part of the whole process isn't writing the code. It's making the right decisions about what to build and how it should be built in the first place.
Which brings us to the big finale. The most important question, really. In this new world, what skills are actually going to protect your job? What's the new moat around your career that an AI just can't get across?
This breaks it down perfectly. The AI, it knows how to code. It's got syntax, patterns, boilerplate, algorithms, all memorized. But you, the human expert, you know what to code, and more importantly, why. You understand the business context, you understand what the user actually needs, you see the security holes and the long-term architectural vision. And that's the whole ballgame.
So, this is your new to-do list. This is what you need to focus on. Deep domain knowledge. Knowing your industry inside out, designing complex systems that can actually scale, being the person who can hunt down performance bottlenecks that no one else can find, having the discipline to be the security backstop, and the big one, that uniquely human gut feeling, that judgment and creativity you need when there's no clear answer. These are the skills that are becoming more valuable, not less. This is your new moat.
So I'll leave you with this one final thought. AI is getting incredibly good at writing the code. But the ultimate value of a great engineer was never just about typing syntax. It's about understanding the business, the user, and the market, and then turning that understanding into a solution. The AI can answer the how, but the human expert, we're still the masters of what and why. And that's not going to change. Thanks for watching.